The paddock didn't blink. It froze. The moment Toprak Razgatliolo walked out of Yamaha's garage in Valencia, you could practically hear every engineer in the pit lane exhale in panic. This wasn't a normal test day. This was a global earthquake disguised as a motorcycle shakedown. Rival teams casually pretended to check tire temperatures while their eyes stayed glued to Toprak like he was about to perform a magic trick that might break physics again. Toprak, as usual, didn't bother with introductions. He strapped in, dropped the visor, and approached turn 1 with the attitude of a man who just read the bike its own future. His late braking? Still rude. His rear slides? Still illegal looking. His confidence? Still borderline unfair. Yamaha needed this energy more than oxygen after a season where the prototype looked confused, tired, and occasionally offended by corners. Toprak's presence instantly reset the tone. Suddenly, Yamaha didn't feel like a struggling factory. It felt like a team about to rewrite its entire destiny. But hidden beneath the excitement was a silent warning. If Toprak didn't like what he felt today, the V4 project would face a storm louder than his downshifts. While cameras chased superstars, the real MVP spoke softly and dropped a bomb. Augusto Fernandez didn't arrive with fireworks, memes, or fan armies, yet somehow he became the one rider Yamaha absolutely couldn't afford to ignore. His 3 wildcard entries this season looked average on paper, but inside Yamaha's garage, his data practically glowed neon. Finishing 16th didn't impress the fans, but it impressed the engineers enough to treat him like a walking telemetry system. His verdict? Brutal honesty, delivered with a polite tone, exactly the kind that sends engineers into emergency meetings. He revealed the V4 he rode wasn't the real V4. It was a hybrid creature still carrying too much M1 DNA, meaning Yamaha was basically testing a bike that didn't know what species it belonged to. Front-end confidence remained shaky, transitions felt confused, and the engine wanted to be powerful but also wanted a nap. If Fernandez hadn't spoken up, Yamaha would be walking blind into 2026. And let's be honest, Yamaha doesn't need blindfolds right now. They need glasses, night vision, radar, and maybe a prayer. Yamaha built a V4, kind of. It's like ordering a steak and receiving a salad wearing armor. Inside the garage, a truth emerged. The current V4 is not Yamaha's real monster. It's a halfway child built from leftover M1 concepts, repackaged into something that sounds like a V4, but still thinks like an inline-4. The bike behaves like it's having an identity crisis. On corner entry, it panics. On acceleration, it hesitates. On aerodynamics, it shrugs. Yamaha now stands at a fork in the road. Evolve slowly and risk another decade of pain, or rebuild aggressively and potentially shock the entire MotoGP field. Everything must be redesigned. Engine mapping, aero surfaces, chassis stiffness, electronica logic, even the bike's emotional support system. February's Sepang test becomes the moment of truth. Yamaha can no longer hide behind development phases. The world expects a real V4, not the diet version. If they unleash something radical, the paddock will panic. If they miss, fans might start Googling Yamaha Crisis documentary. Fabio didn't raise his voice, but the paddock heard it like a fire alarm. Fabio Quartararo has mastered the art of delivering devastating statements with a friendly smile. His message to Yamaha was short, sharp, and wrapped in diplomatic poison. I have no time. Translation? Build something competitive or I'm packing my bags. Fabio knows his value. He controls Yamaha's global relevance and their sponsorship heartbeat. Without him, Yamaha's championship dreams become a historical documentary. He wants a V4 that at least matches the M1, and if he doesn't get it, he'll consider other possibilities. That's athlete language for other factories are calling. With Ducati and KTM prepping their 2027 lineups, Yamaha is trapped between pressure and panic. Valencia wasn't a test for Fabio, it was an audition for Yamaha. One slip, one bad reading, the front isn't good, and Yamaha risks losing the rider who has kept them alive since 2021. Every factory has nightmares. Yamaha's nightmare has a name: Misano. During his first V4 test at Misano, Fabio sampled the prototype, politely said thank you, and immediately jumped back on the M1. The result? He went half a second faster on the old bike. Half a second. In MotoGP, that's not a gap, that's a resignation letter. His feedback was simple. The V4 had no front feeling, and without that sensation, Fabio becomes a hostage inside his own riding style. The V4 promised power, but felt like a stubborn gym machine refusing to listen. That's why Fabio insisted Yamaha bring the M1 to Valencia, not for nostalgia, but to compare loyalty. If the V4 fails again, Fabio's trust evaporates and Yamaha's crisis becomes official. The V4 didn't behave. Toprak didn't care. Toprak's first run on Yamaha's experimental V4 was pure entertainment. While other riders politely adjust settings, Toprak simply bends the motorcycle's willpower. His aggressive braking masked the bike's unstable front end and forced the chassis into responses it isn't naturally capable of. Yamaha engineers watched him like parents watching a child tame a wild animal. But the verdict? A polite uppercut. The front end still needs major surgery. His warning was simple. Don't build the V4 around his superhuman style. Build it for mortals, then let him exceed it. If Yamaha depends solely on Toprak's adaptability, they risk designing a bike nobody else can ride without medical supervision. Even Ducati isn't sleeping well these days. While Yamaha wrestles with identity issues, Pecco Bagnaia is fighting his own battle at Ducati. The GP25 refused to give him the front-end feel he needs, resulting in 5 consecutive DNFs that shattered his confidence like a dropped phone screen. Even his heroic win in Japan didn't soothe the pracs. Bagnaia says he wants to retire with Ducati, but his tone sounds like someone negotiating lunch plans, not a lifelong commitment. His contract beyond 2026 remains uncertain, and whispers suggest Ducati may be eyeing future stars. The paddock feels like a pressure cooker. One factory melting down is normal, but seeing multiple factories panic at the same time? That's peak MotoGP entertainment. Honda smiling? Yes, this is real, not CGI. Honda's season has been rough enough to qualify as a documentary series. Yet, Luca Marini delivered the miracle they didn't expect. Just enough points in Valencia to lift Honda out of concession category D to C. That achievement triggered emotions rarely seen in Honda's garage. Engineers who hadn't smiled since 2020 suddenly celebrated like they discovered pizza for the first time. Marini admitted his first 2 days were chaotic, especially with the useless soft rear tire making the bike behave like a panicked llama. After switching to medium, the RC213V finally behaved like a race bike instead of a warning sign. Honda still has a long road ahead, but this moment felt like hope returning from vacation. The next 48 hours will decide contracts, careers, and maybe Yamaha's reputation. Everything now converges in Valencia. Fabio's patience, Toprak's adaptability, Fernandez's brutal honesty. Yamaha knows the consequences of failure. The MotoGP world is shifting fast. Ducati is dominating, KTM is rising, Honda is rebuilding, and Yamaha is trapped somewhere between courage and confusion. Valencia is no longer a test track, it is Yamaha's judgment day. The data collected here will dictate whether Yamaha's 2026 revolution becomes a comeback story or a collapse documentary. Welcome to the era where Yamaha bets everything on a machine they've never mastered. As the test begins, tension spreads through the paddock like static electricity. Yamaha has committed fully to a V4 future, a territory they've never explored. The stakes are brutal. If the V4 works, Yamaha rises again. If it fails, the collapse becomes historic. Fabio's loyalty, Toprak's potential, and Yamaha's future identity depend on the numbers captured today. The rest of the grid watches closely because MotoGP is entering a new era ruled by power, aero wings, and electronic genius. Yamaha must prove they belong in this battlefield. And whether they sink or soar, one thing is certain: the story is nowhere near finished. In fact, it's just warming up.